Check. Check 1, 2. Check. Okay. Hello. Welcome to episode 14 of the Twin Towers podcast. I am so fucking pissed right now with what's going on around here. You don't even want to know, all right? You don't even want to know. But I'm going to tell you anyway. Hold on, I got to turn out my headphones. Sorry, I'm a little off kilter right now because, yeah, the shit that's happening today is just out of control. So I'm playing Madden, okay, and I'm facing the Saints. I'm in franchise mode, and it's 4th and inches. I've already been stopped on 4th down twice. I go for it. I get like 6 yards with Bucky Irving. Easy first down. They say I didn't get it, okay? So obviously something's wrong with the game. Then, okay, I challenge the play, challenge the spot of the ball. I'm 5 yards ahead of the first down. They say I don't get it. They give the ball to New Orleans. I end up losing by a field goal. I missed a fucking field goal as clock expired. They do some cheap shit where the coach calls a timeout and it makes the fucking viewpoint of the kicking meter all fucked up. I'm not happy. In addition to that, I'm also sick right now. I got sick again from fucking third time this year I've been sick. I have some shitty ass sinus infection. Do not come to work if you are sick. Please. It's disgusting. You're serving people drinks. You're serving people food. You're coughing on their fucking items. You're handling money. It's not a good look. Okay? So anyway, that's what's going on. That's a little bit of what's going on. So before I get to the elephant in the room, or the elephant not in the room, I want to send out my heartfelt condolences and well wishes to my boy Levi, who had a health scare last week. I want to let you know that myself personally, the person who's not here, and everyone in the Twin Towers family, all the planes, are wishing nothing but the best for you, sir. Speedy recovery. We love you. We want you to be healthy and strong, and we're so happy that you made it through, and we're hoping that things go well from now on. So you've been in our thoughts and prayers over the past week, and we'll continue to do so. So Levi, we love you. Best wishes to you, sir. If you need anything, you know you can call me. Now, moving along, you probably at this point have noticed that my good friend and Twin Towers podcast mate, Mike, is not here. I have his mic. I have the hat. I even have his beer out to let him know that we miss him. We need him. We love him. We respect him. This is his spot, okay? And we didn't expect this to happen. Out of respect to him and his family, I will say that something happened this week, okay? And he is sorting things out and figuring out how he's going to move forward. I have gotten I haven't even been able to get him on the phone. I've gotten no sort of indication as to whether or not this will be a permanent fixture. This is news to me, and I was upset. I'm a little mad at him that he did anything that would put the show in jeopardy. He's always preaching to me about, consistency and things like that, and I hope he understands how important this really is to him. And I hope that he will find his way back onto this couch. With that being said, to the planes, we need you and I need you more than ever this week to rally, show your support for myself and most importantly for Michael. Let him know how much you miss him. Let him know how much you need him. And let him know how much you depend on him and how this thing will not be the same without his presence moving forward. When I started this podcast 14 weeks ago, there was really no one else I could think of that I would want to do this with. And Mike didn't ask any questions. He stepped right up. He took that role and ran with it. And we have had a blast doing this every single week and growing this thing and turning it into something real that you guys can depend on. So this morning, when I found out that he was not going to be around this week to do the podcast, I had to decide how we were going to move forward. And I didn't want to just disappear or maybe write a little text thing letting you guys know that we're having problems. I need the show. I need the show. I need to do this every week, and I'm not going to let anything stop this show from coming out each and every fucking week. So with everything in mind, again, I just want to echo the sentiment to the Plains, how much we appreciate you and how much your time is now to show Mike how much you love him and need him on this show. And maybe by the grace of God, he will be sitting here. Maybe not next week, maybe not the week after, at some point. I can't really update you on anything because he hasn't really told me if this is a permanent thing or if he's taking a break. And again, I'm very frustrated because I depend on this every week. I depend on him every week. And I am a little bit peeved that he did something that would put the show in jeopardy. But he's got bigger fish to fry, and far be it for me to add to his stress level. Mike, if you're watching, you know I'm here for you. If you need anything, you know I got your back. It doesn't even need to be said. And I will keep this seat warm until we know what's going on with you, buddy, all right? So hang in there. In the meantime, we might be able to do some fun things here. I've already been talking with one of my old running mates from the Burning Bridges days to possibly fill in for a little while. Maybe even one of you, the Plains, have wanted to see how you do behind the mic and how you do sitting on this couch. We can make this fun. We can bring some new people in. I certainly don't want to be doing a solo cast every single week because without someone to bounce off of and things to, kind of go back and forth, it really doesn't have the same energy. It's really not even the same show. It's just me kind of talking to myself in a room. But it was important for me to get in front of you guys today and let you know why, well, not why, because I can't really say, but at least give you an idea of what's going on and to absolutely reinforce the fact that the Twin Towers podcast, as you know it, may be in jeopardy, but it is not going anywhere. I will be here every single week giving you the show that I've been giving you. And how this whole thing translates, I guess we'll see. Like I said, your likes are super important this week. Your comments to Michael are super important this week to let him know that we need him here in order for this thing to be what it's been and to keep this train rolling. So, that's all I can really say about that. And I apologize for being vague, but everything's up in the air right now. The early signs are saying that I probably am going to be seeing a lot less of Michael moving forward because he may not even be returning to work. So I just want to say it became clear to me over the past few months, me and Mike didn't talk for about a year and a half, and somehow we reconnected in June, right before we started this podcast. And it became clear to me over the next couple weeks how much I really missed him in my life. Obviously, we went in two different directions. Nothing happened. There was no split, but we kind of fell away from our friendship. And in the interim period, he got a fiance, he got a kid, he moved into a new place, and obviously things changed a lot. But having him in my life has been nothing short of a blessing, and not only in terms of this podcast, but just having him as a friend, someone to talk to on the regular, someone to hang out with. He got me my job. That's been fun as hell. And I am a little worried about how things are going to transpire moving forward because I'm not an idiot. I certainly know that people who have influence in his life, I mean, there's only so much bandwidth that each person has, right? So I come running in like a bat out of hell. All of a sudden, I'm pulling him away for the podcast, and I want to hang out and do this and that. And he has obligations. I can't state this firmly enough. I have absolutely nothing to do with the situation that's preventing him from being here today. With that being said, I wouldn't be surprised if I have to shoulder some of the blame anyways, because this is something that we've been dealing with over the past 3 months or so. So, things are up in the air right now. I'm hoping for the best. I hope you're hoping for the best. I hope we can rally around this situation and show him how much he means to us and how badly we want him to be sitting right here every single week. And maybe it will work out. Maybe it won't. I'm moving forward with the show. I am not stopping the show. The show will continue. We will bring other people on if necessary. We will do what we have to do to make this work. And when Mike is ready to return, he can return. I will not replace him on a permanent basis unless he tells me to do so. So, with all that being said, and again, I apologize for the vagaries. It's not really my business. It's not anybody else's business, but he is the co-host of the show, and I'm sure some of you were probably wondering why I'm sitting here by myself today. So far be it from me to not at least explain the situation, but this is a hard week. I'm sick. I have this shit going on, but the thing I look forward to the most each and every week is bringing you guys a show. So that's what I'm going to do. So, condolences to Levi. Mike, we wish you the best. We want you back. Last week, NFL football. Let's try and move on to some topical shit. I don't know if any of you caught the Bills game last week. However, there was some interesting things that happened. Josh Allen was used probably the least that they've relied on him since he's been drafted, which I think is a really exciting thing, especially because they dominated. But the big storyline is, of course, Tua Tagovailoa suffering yet another head injury and possibly retiring from the league. What I think is interesting about this is the man who hit him, well, didn't even really hit him, but the person who was standing there as he rammed his head into his chest was none other than Tua Hamlin, the guy who died on the field 2 years ago. So is Tua Hamlin going on some sort of revenge tour now where he's healthy and comes back and knocks out a star player every single week, much like Randy Orton's old legend killer gimmick? I'd like to see it. Personally speaking, I'm a huge Tua Hamlin fan. The motherfucker died on the field. But with all these calls for Tua to retire, so on and so forth, because of his head injuries, I have to say, I think that should be up to him and his doctor. The guy's 26 years old. He's got a hell of a fucking team behind him. And you know the risk when you play football. If you think about guys like Troy Aikman and Steve Young, they probably had like 30 fucking concussions. Steve Young talks about how he was concussed many times and continued to play. Now, I know that they are changing the game, trying to make it more safe, and they're probably going to put pressure on Tua to retire. However, the problem I have with that is, excuse me one second. Problem I have with that is the NFL is going to try and look like the big guardian angel, like they're looking out for his best interests. Now, if they really were doing that, they probably wouldn't have let him play at all because he already had this major issue. And it's very highly unlikely that you're going to play professional football and not suffer another hit to the head. Football is fucking dangerous, and if people really cared about him, or anyone for that matter, they wouldn't even let anyone play, and they would get rid of the sport entirely. Tua's been playing football his whole life. He knows the risks. I'm not saying that he should play. I'm just saying that if he wants to play, that should be his choice. Let's flip the tables over to the guy who eliminated him from the game. His heart stopped on the field. He was dead, and he's playing now. So if he's allowed to play, I think almost anyone should be allowed to play. Just my take. Mike, what do you think about that? Oh, that's right. Mike's not here. So, that's my take on the situation. I'm very excited about the Bills. I think it was pretty cool that they were able to win in spite of Josh Allen not having to put the team on his back like he always does. I think he had like 2 rushes for maybe 4 yards, like 160 passing yards. James Cook looked amazing. The defense, though, is the story. And I've had a lot of things to say about Sean McDermott, who I call McDumbass. That was coined by my partner, who's not here. But if the Bills' defense is dominant this year, I will walk back every bad thing I've ever said about Sean McDermott and give him his flowers, because if he's able to coach that roster to elite status on the defensive side of the ball, he's a fucking genius and deserves all the credit in the world. In other news, the Buccaneers beat the Lions, who they lost to twice last year, so that was nice to get the monkey off their back. Baker Mayfield is still looking quite nice. He is the number 1 ranked fantasy quarterback in our league, the number 3 overall player, looking pretty good. Bucs are 2-0. We're facing the Broncos on Sunday. That should be exciting because we should beat them, but you just never know these days. In additional NFL news, I kind of wanted to talk about something real quick because I was thinking about this a lot as I was watching the Bills game on Thursday, and I was thinking about my relationship with the Bills. Now, when I was born, I was raised as a Bills fan until I was 6 or 7 years old. Timetable is not exact. There's pictures of me with Bills gear on. I remember having a full book of trading cards from one of the Super Bowl teams. I had a football signed by the whole team. We went to training camp. I had this little mini Hutch Bills uniform with a Jim Kelly jersey that was signed. Somewhere along the way, between 1997 and 1998, I diverged because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the organization in South Florida, changed their uniforms to the modern color palette of pewter and red that you see today. That really caught my eye as a 6-year-old, and I started using that team in Game Day 99. And they had some players on the team that I really liked. John Lynch, Mike Allstott, Derek Brooks, Rondé Barber, so on and so forth. So I kind of just hitched my wagon to Tampa, and I just thought they were fucking cool. They looked cool. They had cool-ass uniforms. They just got a new stadium with a fucking pirate ship in it. Something about them, I started liking them, right? Didn't exactly leave the Bills behind, still rooted for them, but this was my team now. And as the years go on, they win the Super Bowl in 2003. I start making memories with them each and every year. I get more and more attached, right? So now it's just a part of my soul. And I think that if you see the Buccaneers on TV and you know me, then hopefully you think of me, because I always liked having my own thing. Everyone around here shares the Bills, which is cool. I like having my own thing that's only mine. And I was thinking about why we pick our teams and why Bills fans end up being Bills fans. And if you really think about it, it's kind of arbitrary. Our parents end up meeting each other in this area called Western New York. They have a kid. There's a team that plays here, and you just root for them, right? You're not really making a choice. You were born here. And there's a team named Buffalo that plays in this area. But there's a few little caveats with that. Number one, none of, maybe a couple players that play on the team are from Western New York. The coach isn't from Western New York. The owners aren't from Western New York. What really makes them the Buffalo Bills? Of course, they're always quick to say, we're the only team that actually plays in New York, even though there's 3 New York teams. They play in New Jersey. Well, I've always wondered, why are they called the Buffalo Bills? Because they certainly do not play in Buffalo. They play in Orchard Park. A little bit of hypocrisy there that no one ever seems to mention. Now, here's my thing. Years later, 2 Super Bowls later, we're talking about probably 27 years of loving the Bucs at this point, and you're not going to find a bigger fan of a team than me. What's my relationship with the Bills? Because I think that I had this conversation with someone in our fantasy league, and he was under the impression that I don't like them or that I don't root for them and that I don't support them. That is far from the truth. The Bills are in a different conference. The Bills are, in fact, our home team. I do root for them every week unless they play Tampa, because that's my team. So what I'm getting at here, really, I'm not really sure. But I was thinking about this a lot, how the picking process is quite arbitrary. I actually made a choice of my team based on several aesthetic and other factors, whereas other people are kind of just born into it and just accept it, and that's more than fine. But what you have to understand is, when people say things like, well, we're the best fans in the NFL, nobody goes harder than the Bills Mafia, I kind of take that personally, because nobody goes harder than me. Maybe equally, but not harder than me. And I think anyone who knows me knows that. Now, having your own team is cool. It's fun. It's exciting. But there's a flip side to that, too. When the Bucs won the Super Bowl in 2003, I watched that by myself with my dad. I didn't get to celebrate. I didn't get to go out and tear down the streets and have a big party. And I didn't get to share in the glory with the whole community. Same thing happened a couple years ago. Did have some friends over for the game, got to enjoy that. But really on an island amongst myself here, being in Western New York, having a team that doesn't play locally. Now you take the good with the bad, but I guess really what I'm saying is, when you're watching the game and you have that feeling in your heart when it's a close game and you really want them to win, and they win and you get this jubilation, this amazing dopamine rush, or they lose and you feel like you just had an unfortunate breakup or someone just died. That's your team. As we grew up, saw a lot of people, the Bills sucked at this time, but I saw a lot of people claim to have a team. I remember Mike pretended to be a Giants fan. Brian pretended to be a Packers fan. Matt pretended to be a Saints fan. Who really loved their team? Because all those guys are just Bills fans now because they're good now. I really did love the Bucs. I really do love the Bucs. I always will love the Bucs. And what I want to see personally is a Bills-Bucs Super Bowl. We were close a couple years ago. We might be close again. When Brady left, I thought the window had closed, but I think the window's back open because PFT's Power Rankings this week has Buffalo Bills number 2, Tampa Bay Buccaneers number 3. In that game, who would I root for? Now, Buccaneers have already won 2 Super Bowls. I've witnessed both of them. They've both been in my lifetimes. Not only that, Tom Brady came here and won one, which made it even more special. John Lynch was inducted into the Hall of Fame the night before that game. So that's about as good as you can get. I can't imagine anything better happening as an NFL fan. I've been blessed, right? So you would think that maybe if they played in the Super Bowl, I'd be willing to take the fall, perhaps, and let this community, all my good friends, all my family, everyone who I know that roots for the Bills and have never seen them win, get that victory. And against any other team, I will be wearing my London Fletcher jersey. I will be at the parade. I'll be rooting for the Bills with 99% of my heart. If they play Tampa Bay, you already know how I feel. So I don't need to say it out loud. It is what it is. That's my fucking squad, okay? With that being said, go Bills, go Bucs. They're not playing each other this year unless they meet in the Super Bowl. So, I hope both teams have a successful, healthy season. Now, moving on. Last week, you might have noticed that the podcast was a little bit short. We didn't cover a ton of topics. And what I've noticed is, over the past couple weeks, this podcast has been turning into a little bit of a routine. We've been stagnating a little bit. Me and my partner in crime, we have talked about ways to energize the show. Maybe bringing in a TV, maybe changing the format, maybe going live. We had big plans that we wanted to kind of put into action to take this thing to the next level. Now, I'll tell you what, as far as routine's concerned, this whole situation really throws things for a loop. Okay, because now I don't know what's going to happen, but we had big plans and we were thinking of ways to take this to the next level. But something I've noticed about myself is, and this applies to all factors of life, whether it is relationships, jobs, anything. Once something loses its initial luster and excitement, I start to feel this magnetic push from it. When it becomes a routine, when it becomes expected, when it becomes the norm, I suddenly start to pull away. And that's why a lot of my relationships have failed. A lot of the career opportunities I've had have failed because once that exciting awesomeness of the beginning of it wears off, then it's left with, okay, this is just what I do every day, and it's not exciting anymore. And that's where I felt like we were getting to a little bit with the podcast. It was almost feeling like an obligation, like something that we needed to do because it's what we do, not because we wanted to do. And we've also talked about other ways to try and increase our audience, such as like doing clickbaits and talking about certain topics. Well, I was watching someone on YouTube this past weekend, and he does videos about the game College Football 25. That's what he does. And he's been able to grow an audience based on that. And it made me realize something. The reason why I started this show was because I wanted to sit down for an hour every week and just talk with my friend the way we would talk if there was no camera on. And we can talk about anything. You've heard us talk about music. You've heard us talk about sports. You've heard us talk about politics. You've heard us talk about our lives. There are no set guidelines for what is talked about on this podcast. Therefore, over the past 13 weeks, the people who tune in, the people who love this show, come here because they like that, okay? We didn't build anything off of, well, we talk about football every week. We talk about politics every week because then we would have to talk about those things every week. And if we ever didn't, we would risk losing the people who signed up to enjoy this show. So I'm proud of what we created. I don't expect us to suddenly start committing to one specific topic. It's a free-for-all. We sit down, we make the mics live, and we fucking talk shit. And that's what I love to do. That's why we started the show. And that is what you can expect moving forward. I would like to add a TV because just the idea of me and Mike being able to provide live reactions to video content, license to print money. Also, the idea of going live, I think, is very intriguing because it kind of raises the stakes a little bit. Needless to say, things are cooking. We're coming up with ideas. I hope Mike will be here to join me for those. I'm not used to talking this much, so my voice is starting to go a little bit. I would expect that this week is going to be a little short. Anything, Mike? Didn't think so. So, what else do I have on my agenda? Well, I can tell you that there has been some infighting amongst some of our fans, some of our diehard fans. I'm talking about our number one fan, Pink Calculus, who's been here since the beginning, and probably our number 2 or 3 fan, Katie Bishop. I'm seeing you guys doing a little bit of catfighting in the comments. I want to remind you that it's all fun. It's all jokes. Ha ha ha. We need to rally together as one right now, as the Plains, and come together as a family and prop up your hosts as we fight through these trying times. So I don't want to see any more infighting in the comments. You guys need to get along, and you guys need to let Mike know how important he is and how badly we need him, because talking the whole time, not for me. Oh, boy. This sucks, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. This really fucking sucks. I was not expecting this on any level. And I don't think it's going to get any easier from here on out. I think that it's going to get more complicated. I think that things are going to get more and more fucked up. And, you know, we just had so much going for us. We were just about to hit 15 episodes, right on our way to 25. Cassie just had reached out to me talking about making thumbnails for the show. I had gotten a few direct messages about people who wanted to jump in on the show, and man, we were moving. That's why we can't stop. I believe in my heart of hearts that he will be back. Although I do have a question for him. If you go back 2 weeks when he presented me my gift bag, you'll notice that he said, the main gift is on the way. It's not here yet. Well, it's September 16th, 17th. I'm not really sure. I haven't heard anything about that main gift. Was the main gift made up? Is it still on the way? I don't know. Kind of rude to ask, and I normally wouldn't, but it was on the show, so that's show content, and that's a show note. So, Mike, where's my gift? If you didn't get me one, it's more than fine. You got me plenty. But you did say there was something on the way, and I'm very curious as to what that might be. I don't know, guys. I have things I can talk about. I'm really upset. I'm really upset. I'm really sad. I'm really worried. I'm very irritated by this Madden thing. And the Levi news kind of has rocked me a little bit because, you know, he's about my age, and that's fucking scary, man. We got to take care of ourselves. And I don't even know if that's what it was. It could be genetic. It might not. We don't know. But, yeah, man, that was some scary shit. And then we got this. And I'm sick. So, if I can just ask you one more time, this is going to be a short episode because I'm spinning my wheels here, but if I can just ask you one more time, that if you've ever thought about leaving a comment and didn't pull the trigger, and I'm counting on the guys who do it every week to really step up this week. I love you guys. I know you'll do it. This week is so important for you guys to let us know what the show means to you and how bad you want to see it continue. If we can rally around and prop Mike up right now in his time of need and let him know how important he is to the show and to your lives, even if it's in a small way, I think that would go a long way towards hopefully coercing him back onto this couch. I guess we will see. Next week, I guess maybe you can look forward to a possible guest host. We're going to let this news sink in for a couple days and see what happens. I had other things on my notes, but it just doesn't really feel right to continue in this manner unless I know what's going on, and right now I don't. I'm also very hungry. I am sick. I'm about due to take some NyQuil. Dayquil. It's early. And yeah, it's just hard to be funny right now because this is a real tragedy. I had to at least sit down and turn the mics on and give you something to let you know what's going on. But Plains, this is your time to shine. Please, 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 please step up this week. Put us on your back. We need you desperately. And yeah, I had a bunch of funny stories about Mike exploding the wine on his face at work. I had a funny story about me almost dying on the toilet. I wanted to talk about Bountygate. I wanted to talk about getting on a cold streak at work and how annoying it's been trying to run the fantasy league and collect money. But I think that with everything in mind, we'll let this be a short episode. Once again, I did the best I could. I'm not going to let this show die. And you can expect a normal episode next week, whether my partner's here or not. His mic is here. The hat is here. Mike Kaminsky. This is your beer, by the way, not mine. And I hate Bud Light. From the Twin Towers podcast, from the Plains, from me, Cody Butler, your best friend and your brother. We love you, man. We want to see you back here soon. We wish you nothing but the best. And if you need anything from any of us, we got your back. We're just getting started up in here. And that's when he would always say, just getting started. We'll see you back here soon, all right? That's episode 14. We'll be back next week. Love you, Plains.